Bahya nitya sukha sakting hitvatma sukha nivritaha katastadi pavatsvastha svantareva prakashate. Bahya, external, anitya, impermanent, sukha sakting, attachment for happiness, hitva, after having, Atma sukha nivritaha, satisfied with the bliss coming from within. Gatastadi pavat, like a lamp placed inside a jar. Svastaha, comfortably placed. Svantaha, within himself. Eva, alone. Prakashate, shines. Relinquishing attachment to impermanent external happiness, the self-abiding Jīvanmukta, satisfied with the bliss of Ātman, shines within, like a lamp placed within a jar.
Namaste. See, these verses are all hints. They all give pointers. Some people ask me, well, why don't you give any meditation instructions? But every shloka of these scriptures is a meditation instruction. It is something to be contemplated and then put into action. So here we have relinquishing attachment to impermanent external happiness. That's like a functional definition of sannyas. A sannyasi does not work, does not engage in external religious activities, such as rituals and organizations and so on. I mean, at least a real sannyasi does not belong to any organization, does not create an organization, because that means taking happiness from external sources. And that's not what a sannyasi is. A sannyasi is someone who has seen the futility of external enjoyment and given up all those sources of happiness. So a sannyasi does not engage in different kinds of relationships in the world designed to produce material happiness. Rather, he withdraws into himself and finds the source of real happiness within. A self-abiding Jīvanmukta, satisfied with the bliss of Brahman. Now, it's not too awfully hard to come into contact with Brahman. If you abide by the sadhana chatushtaya, detailed in the beginning of Atma-bodhah, you will automatically become pure. And when the mind is directed within, the attention taken off of the external objects, one easily encounters the energy, the glory, the bliss of Brahman. Now you might say, well, how is that possible? How can I just turn off my senses? Well, you do it every night when you go to sleep. So it can't be that difficult. Even animals do it. The difference is, in sleep, the resulting consciousness is covered by ignorance. But we want to do it while wide awake. That's the difference. So take it one at a time. First, the eyes. Of course, when we go to sleep, we close our eyes. And similarly in meditation, we close our eyes. But more than that, we withdraw our attention of seeing. We don't try to see through the eyes. We try to see within. We turn it around and direct the sense of sight within. See, this is a whole different thing. And the same with hearing and the rest. Hearing is probably the most difficult of all of the senses to redirect within, because we're wired up to remain connected to the ear even while sleeping, in case anything happens that we need to be alert. So the hearing sense is possibly the most difficult, along with the mind. The mind wants our attention all the time. Blah, 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 blah. So we have to somehow or other direct our attention inwards. Well, it's easy if we are passionately devoted to realizing Brahman. If we have mumukshutvam, the intense desire for liberation, then we will want to know. And usually this comes about through suffering. So the suffering that we experience in life is actually a blessing. That when the external conditions are not satisfactory at all, I mean, they're usually not satisfactory anyway, but when they're like really unsatisfactory, it becomes easier to let them go or block them off and turn within. But this is where real happiness resides. We can't find pure, unconditioned happiness in the external senses. Why? Because they're always changing. Some days the body is well, sometimes it's sick. Sometimes the mind is clear, sometimes it's disturbed. Sometimes our intelligence is lined up with the teachings of the Shastra, and sometimes it wants to go watch reruns on YouTube. So those things have to be brought under control, those senses. We can't control the sense objects because they're external to us. But what we can do is withdraw our attention from them. Because guess what? Things are going to wind up just about the same no matter what happens externally. The body's going to get old and die. The senses and the mind are going to gradually become less and less useful and strong, and eventually they're going to fail completely. So we should practice before we die to direct our attention inwards onto the self. Now, of course, the self cannot be known because the self is the knower. But Brahman can be known. The great Brahman can be known and will reveal itself to the sincere aspirant. But you have to be pure. You can't go on taking intoxication and drinking Coca-Cola and eating hamburgers and expect to get anywhere with meditation. So in the beginning, the scriptures provide objects for meditation that are gradually more and more subtle. In the beginning, it's a mantra. And then maybe later on, it's the form of a deity. And then even more advanced, the imaginary adventures or pastimes with that deity. And on it goes until we reach the self. And of course, when the attention is directed from the outside sense objects to the inside, to the self, the character of the meditation fundamentally changes. We introduced this concept, oh my God, 8, 9 years ago in The Secret of the Golden Flower. Secret of the Golden Flower talks about a meditation where you visualize yourself looking at yourself in a mirror. And then instead of you looking at the mirror image is looking at you. So it just reverses the feeling. And that is often enough to bring on the experience of direct perception of Brahman. It did with me back in 1984. Of course, that was part of a much larger program of meditation that eventually resulted in Shakti coming and giving me Shaktipat. But, I mean, that's a whole different story. We want to have a practice. We want to make available a practice that anyone can do anywhere and doesn't require a complete retirement from active life, but will deliver over time a distinct progress in directing the tension within. So that's the thing about this. Unless you can devote full time, all day and night to meditation, you pretty much have to be satisfied with meditation snacks, 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes or an hour on the weekend or whatever, sandwiched in between all your other activities. Of course, this verse is advising you to drop those other activities. And that would be good if you can do it. Somehow or other, we were blessed with a life situation where we don't have to work for a living. We can really renounce, we can really retire from society. We don't have to have anything to do with anybody that we don't want to. And this is an ideal setup for meditation. This is what sannyas is really about. Not joining some big organization and being a big public preacher and collecting lots of money and disciples. No, that's not sannyas. That's business. Real sannyas means no more material engagement, fully engaged within. That's how you realize Brahman.
Tat Sat Om Shakti Om